riding the wave of the 3D Earth matrix. What is up, Alien Army? I am Oculus, the alien next door, purveyor of esoteric lore. And on this channel, we discuss everything out of this world. So today's topic, it is going to be in regards to the current events that are going on globally. Now,
you know what the fuck I'm talking about. As I'm filming this, it is August 2021.
This is more just like in the moment now what's going on, because I do want to give an energetic update just because
I was fucking guided to do so, so that's why we're fucking here.
And the update is the analogy of the waves of the current events. Okay, so you already know what the fuck I'm talking about, and there is a lot of discrepancies going on between different types of individuals, different types of groups, different types of organizations. It's sort of like an us against them mentality. With this being said, the best way that I can describe this is if we want to picture ocean waves, okay, this is what's going on. And it doesn't just apply to now. This is how the Earth matrix works. There's like waves and things like that. Like you'll notice every so often, if you look back in moments of Earth's history, you'll see different points in time. It's sort of like, well, it was calm here, now whoop, 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 going up here, then we gradually move down, and then it's like calm again, then ooh, another wave coming, right? But you'll notice it in like periods of time. So if you want to picture like a timeline, you'll see it. Let's just give an example. 1900, 1910, 1920, 1930. I'm not saying those specific years, but if you look at it in like a linear fashion, that's how it's going to look. You're going to notice different themes going on throughout different periods of time. And it'll seem like, whoo, this has risen up. Oh, now this is a calm period. Whoo, this rose again, right? It's sort of like, you know, you're at the fucking beach, you're at the fucking wave pool.
I love the motherfucking wave pool.
That is what is going on. So the message that I was conveyed to let you all know is just ride the wave, because if you are looking at a video like this, you are an enlightened seeker, you are an enlightened seer. You see through the eye of the all, and you understand that what you see through your two earthly eyes really is just a pattern in the timeline of the Earth matrix. So when I say ride the wave, there are a lot of cray-cray agendas going on, okay, like in everything, trying to, in my opinion, pit these type of motherfuckers against these type of motherfuckers, or this type of person against this type of person. It's all about divide and conquer scare tactics, in my opinion. And I'm sure you can think of different ways that you have observed in the current events that are in regards to the things I just mentioned. So it's going to be different for everyone, because different individuals, even though we are enlightened seekers, we are going to have different experiences, obviously, because we're motherfucking individuals. But you know what you bore witness to in the current events, and you're like, whoa, I see how these two opposing sides are about this topic and that topic, right? Like you can see clear division pretty much almost anywhere, okay? And the whole purpose of this is really a divide and conquer scare tactic, because when motherfuckers are not united and they're afraid or they're hostile towards someone else who is also residing in a human vessel, what's going to happen is that they're going to be focused on a lower, denser, vibrational, energetic output, and then that is going to keep them more entrenched to the matrix ideal. So when you are looking at a video like this, and I mean anyone, not just my videos, you know, there are plenty of enlightened seers and seekers out there, but when you're looking at videos like these, you are already enlightened and you see past the motherfucking bullshit. But you also might be wondering, what happens if bullshit confronts me? Well, here's the thing. What is your vibe right now? What are you mostly focused on? Are you viewing the current events, the narrative, from this higher perspective point where you see it for what it is?
It's like a giant fucking holographic video game.
or are you consciously enmeshing yourself into whatever drama is going on the 3D earth plane? And this is the most important thing, because like I said, there are many different narratives out there now trying to pit motherfuckers against each other. So one of them might have applied to you somewhere since this whole charade began. Okay, so if you were confronted with something in the current events that you didn't much care for, right now you most likely see it from a higher perspective. You're like, okay, I saw that for what it is. It's just a scare tactic or whatever, trying to put you against motherfucker A, trying to put motherfucker Z against motherfucker Y, like all, like it's a whole, it's
fucking bullshit, okay? I'm gonna say that a million times.
Bullshit. You might have witnessed something like that, you might have experienced something like that, but does that mean you participate in it? And when I am saying ride the wave because you are an enlightened seeker and because you are seeing through the current events, you now are, let's take it into a metaphor, you are at the motherfucking beach. You can think of the ocean as the current events and you bearing witness to the current events. So you are standing in the ocean, swimming, whatever the fuck you're doing, surfing, I don't know, okay? You surfing in the motherfucking ocean, and what are you doing? Are you looking at the waves from a point of view like, well, this wave I see, I'm gonna dunk my head under the water, let it flow above me. This wave, I'm gonna break out my surfboard, I'm gonna ride it because that shit looks fucking fun. How are you interacting with the waves in the ocean, or metaphorically, in the 3D matrix? Anytime a different agenda or narrative or storyline presents itself to you, how much are you interacting with it? You might think that some are unavoidable, but you understand as well that you get the energy that you are focusing on. So it's important not to focus on the narrative. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be something that you're going to be able to achieve immediately right away, because we are as well adaptable creatures. So we can find ways to make detours around things we don't like on the 3D plane. And if you're thinking with this, and if you're feeling with this, and if you're seeing with this, what happens? You already fucking intuitively know the best path to follow. So whatever narrative, whatever agenda is going on the 3D earth matrix, think of it as waves, but you are seeing the waves. Whereas other motherfuckers who are still plugged into the matrix, they're not seeing the waves. They don't even know the waves exist. But you here chilling in the motherfucking ocean and you're like, oh shit, look at that one looks good. And you go, you surf the pipeline and shit.
Something I always wanted to do.
And you're having a good time because you recognize the waves for what they are. They're energetic patterns that just occur naturally in the Earth 3D matrix. But you see other motherfuckers that they don't even know how to swim, and why the fuck are they even in the water? You know what I mean? And then the wave is just coming, it's like pulling them out. You got the undertow and shit, and motherfuckers is like caught up in the fucking whirlpool. Like there's a whole lot of shit going on. But that doesn't mean that you have to get involved. That doesn't mean that you have to go out and play lifeguard and fucking jump in when you told the motherfucker, listen, there's some stormy seas, that water looking, he kind of looking a little bit rough, and that motherfucker that don't know how to swim done jumped in the ocean. You don't gotta be motherfucking lifeguard and jump in and save them. That's what I am getting at, because if you captain one a motherfucker and you say, listen, water's looking a bit choppy today, huh? You might not want to go in. You might just want to dab your toe in, see if you like the temperature, and if you don't, you fucking leave. But a motherfucker don't want to listen. Guess what? That ain't your motherfucking problem. And that is what it is, because the whole agenda narrative is to pit motherfuckers against each other. If you are trying to break into someone else's psyche and you're telling them, listen, don't do this, it's dangerous, that is in essence trying to implore your will onto them when they are a sovereign being. And if they have every intention of, they know damn fucking skippy that they don't know how to swim, but they want to jump in the ocean anyway without a fucking life
raft, what the fuck, life jacket, life vest, yeah.
here's what you do. You say, listen, the water looks a bit choppy, because remember, you in your motherfucking lifeguard chair analogy, and you sitting there and you're just like, whoa, you're observing it from a higher perspective, and there's a motherfucker and he's not in the lifeguard chair, and he's just like, oh, I'm gonna go run me into the ocean, and then you're just like, whoa, you're blowing your whistle.
Homie, the water. Oh, I see a shark fin up in there. I don't know what you're doing.
And they're just like, they just jump in. You know what I mean? They belly flop into that shit. It's like, you have to understand that you, even though you know you are sovereign and you see through the eye of the all what is going on, you have to understand as well that these individuals, and some of them may be close to you, they also have their own free will. Even though they're plugged into the matrix, for me, I leave a motherfucker be. I'm like, if you want to do that, okay, that's on you, but don't expect me to come in there and fucking rescue you when I was like, hey, listen, the water looks a bit choppy. I would not suggest just telling someone, listen, tying them down, saying, listen, you ain't going in the ocean today, right? Like, you're not gonna do that, because it's going to, number one, that's gonna put more resistance on you, and it's going to have them rebel even harder, because now, because you see through the eye of the all the real agenda of what's going on in the 3D Earth matrix, but they don't. Now, again, that divide and conquer tactic, you are seeing things differently from them, and what do we say? A whole plethora of divide and conquer, separate motherfuckers any way that you possibly can, even if it's through different ideas. Like, your ideas are going to be different than someone who's jumping in the ocean or the waves, or that metaphor, they don't know how to swim, but you're captain lifeguard and you're like, oh, I think the water's a little choppy for you. I mean, you sure you want to head in there? And then those two opposing ideas are another way for the agenda to win, because now that motherfucker, they have free will. If they want to jump in the ocean and they don't know how to swim, that's on them. They have every right to do that. And you, if you try to impose what you see and your will onto them, even though you're coming from a place where you're trying to be helpful, that is interfering with their free will. So you have to understand that sometimes it's best for you to just maneuver around obstacles, even if the obstacle is another individual, because they have every right to do whatsoever the fuck they please on the 3D plane. And an enlightened being does not try to interfere with someone else's free will. They observe, maybe they'll give a little like,
hey, heads up, choppy water.
Oh yeah, I don't care, I know how to swim.
And then what do you see? You see a bunch of shark fins, right? It's like, what can you do? You know, like, because they are sovereign. Everyone is sovereign. They are plugged into the matrix, but they are still sovereign. So some part of their soul saw what was happening, because they have a higher self, whether they're, you know, enlightened or not. They all have a higher self. They're just, if they're unevolved, they're not going to realize it. They're going to call it coincidence or whatever the fuck those motherfuckers say, right?
That was just a coincidence.
Okay. They still have every right to do as they choose. So you just ride the waves. If you want to play lifeguard, if you want to observe the wave from the shore and you're just like, I see what's going on. If you want to blow your whistle a few times, do you, right? You sovereign too. You can do whatever the fuck you want. But the path of least resistance now in the current events is to just ride the waves, to witness what others are doing without necessarily interfering with them. Now, if someone attempts to interfere with you, like I said a little bit ago, if you encountered some sort of resistance because someone was trying to hinder you from expressing yourself, trying to hinder you from being authentic, or hinder you, like you tried to silence you or tried to coerce you into doing something that you didn't want to do, that incident happened, let it go. Let it go. Because you are a co-creator of your experience. The more you focus on perceived opposition from anywhere else, the more you're going to encounter it. So if you do encounter any type of opposition, be it from anywhere, family, friend, career path, school, whatever is going on in your personal realm experience, if you encountered opposition somewhere, drop that shit. It might get you riled up, because the whole agenda of this divide and conquer is to inflame the ego. Matt Kahn actually said that phrase. It's not my phrase, but I feel it's like really applicable here. Matt Kahn, he said the ego gets inflamed, and I just think it's like, wow, like the ego is irritated. It's like inflamed.
And that's the whole fucking agenda.
That's the whole agenda that's going on now. So if you fall into that same agenda, if you don't just entirely disconnect, even if you're faced with opposition, it's like, yeah, that happens. happened. They're in the matrix, they're in the water, they don't know how to motherfucking swim. I'm the fucking captain lifeguard. I know how to swim. And from now on, I'm going to only encounter more awakened ones, more captain lifeguard. That's the best thing that I can say. I know it's not really like an easy answer, but I can tell you that if you think of it in this way of, if you focus on a negative thing that is going on in the current events, or even with a situation that might have happened between you and like an employer, or you and a relative, whatsoever happened, if you encounter that, I'm not saying don't process whatever emotions in the moment, but you have to let that shit go, or else more opposition is going to present itself to you, because now you're more focused on 3D earthly motivations and intentions, the divide and conquer agenda, than you are on remaining sovereign and just observing. Like, let's say someone is walking by, you're in your lifeguard chair, and then someone is walking by like, oh, like they make a stupid comment or something, and you're just like, well, I'm doing me, why do you care what the fuck I'm doing? Like, do you? That, it's a simple answer. Like, why does anyone care what anyone else is doing in terms of, if it doesn't affect someone personally? If someone is blatantly disrespecting you, trying to boss you around, tell you what to do, you tell them to go fuck themselves, to be quite honest. But after you do that, then you make sure that you energetically fuck off from them as well. Like, you don't think about it, you don't bring it into your experience by reliving that moment, you just move on. And then you're gonna notice that for you, maybe not for the collective, but for you, because you're sitting up in that lifeguard chair, that the ocean is gonna become calmer and calmer and calmer, and then it's just gonna be like smooth sailing for you. So that is really what I have for the energetic update, is that do you, boo-boo. That's what I have to say. Let all the motherfuckers do them. If someone tries to interfere, if someone tries to breach your peace, you tell a motherfucker off, but let that shit go after. Don't dwell on it. If it's someone, let's say, close to you, it might be different than someone who is just a random Joe Blow motherfucker, but still allow yourself to process whatever emotions in that moment and let it go. You have to let it go. If you gotta punch a fucking wall, you punch a motherfucking wall, but you let that shit go after. Because if you focus on how so-and-so tried to talk you into their way of thinking, and they're from a third dimensional perspective, and you're angry about it, then now you've essentially lowered yourself into the third dimensional vibration by even intertwining yourself with that energy. So it's best to just do what you gotta do, but let that shit go. And then you'll notice that the waves for you are going to subside, because if everyone is having their own individual experience, what's going on with the masses and the collective, yes, it can be a powerful like riptide trying to draw you into it, but you fucking captain lifeguard, okay? Like, you've seen that shit. You know what to look out for. You can spot a tidal wave coming from a mile away. You're gonna take some shelter, right? You're not gonna be jumping in and there's a fucking tsunami and you're just, you know, floating around like aimlessly. No, you're gonna see a tidal wave. You're like, oh snap, I'm gonna get me the fuck out of here. And then you're gonna go and do you. And that is how it works. So with the waves, they are going on in the collective consciousness, but that does not mean that you have to participate in them. If I receive any more updates in regards to this topic, you know I will make a motherfucking video about it. That's what I got for you today, folks. I am Oculus, the alien next door. We will chit chat again soon.